Sorry, what?
Can you give the data PTO to be imported, or is it different?
It's there until you drop the table.
So you guys do data modeling before putting the data into BigQuery, or?
Yes. Just in case we end up having some error in BigQuery, we can drop the table and import the data from the beginning without losing anything.
So you mentioned the bulk imports and exports are free. How expensive are they in terms of time? Like, can you query for all of your data like as soon as it's uploaded, or is there some indexing time involved?
Indexing happens on the fly through Dremel, so I haven't ever had to wait for indexing time, but I don't actually know how long it takes to import the data. Generally it's slower. I believe the last batch process I saw went up in about 9 or 10 seconds versus a query time of a second. So comparatively to actually querying the data, it's slow, but quite honestly, I don't think a bulk import of 10 seconds is really that long anyway.
Are there any limitations on bulk importing? Like how many records that you can import at a particular time?
Rate limit of 100,000 rows per bulk import. But you can do multiple of those at a time.
That's per second.
Yes.
So this essentially gives you a way to take spaghettified data in a non-relational database and query against it with SQL select.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you guys compare it to Spark at all, or?
It's funny you mention that. Actually, Apache is working with Google to create a connector for Spark and BigQuery, so you can do further processing of data before you put it into BigQuery itself. That's not completely there yet. We don't currently use Spark to do any processing for that sort of thing, but it may be a possibility in the future.
What is the security around the data storage?
For BigQuery?
Yeah.
It's the same, it's on the same SLA as the data store. And
Yeah, I think Martin pointed out on his slides, BigQuery is one of the products that they have that's certified across a lot of different certifications as far as data security.
I think they had to do that to get healthcare.
yeah, it needed to be for different companies.
Still this year, we're still working on some of the HIPAA certifications for this year.
Sorry, I didn't hear any of that.
He's had a couple of things for the HIPAA certification that still said 2015 for certifications, so.
I believe BigQuery is already certified.
Can BigQuery store image file or
I've never tried that.
There's a form of blob.
There is?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know how queryable it is though, in terms of the functions that they provide, considering they're mostly mathematical and more for aggregate information. I should try that.
I mean, can you start with a low-dimensional representation of it if you're at PCA or something, and just transform it into a
I'm sure you probably could.
I've seen it used as reference and then they store meta information about images.
Right.
Less than actually storing documents.
Yeah. But then the actual images would be stored someplace like Google Cloud storage or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cloud storage, block storage.
Would that even be relevant to the use case of answering questions? Which is what I think BigQuery is.
Honestly, I can't imagine any circumstance where trying to query information out of an image blob would be, but
You never know.
I'm sure people much smarter than I am put it in there for a reason.
One more thing. When you do the data model, will your data structure be just column-wise, or it will be relational?
It's a NoSQL database. Yeah, it's a Google Cloud data store that we use.
Just column.
Yeah.
into any bugs? BigQuery so far?
I don't think they're bugs. I think they're there by design.
Their features?
Yeah, no, but I honestly think they are there by design because they're documented that way. Then again, that may not always be the case. I think the select distinct thing is really annoying because if you're trying to get distinct values for one of them, it's not always easy. You actually have to use where constraints to really get down to a specific point. I wouldn't necessarily consider that a bug because they actually specifically have an article dedicated to that itself. So something tells me they had a reason for that. Maybe it has something to do with the indexing on the under level.
We don't support the light queries.
Sorry, what?
The light queries like how
Mm-hmm.
Pattern matching or
substrate.
Yep.
maybe supports aggregate functions.
Yes. Yep. There's also regular expression functions so that you can run regular expressions on strings compared to user.
Is BigQuery actively being worked on? Like, is there a future progression of how it might
Yes,
come?
it's still being actively maintained and updates to it are still.
Do you know anything that might come down the pipeline in the future?
BigQuery is one of the things that Google is very secretive about, partially because its backend is Dremel, which is proprietary and only parts of it are open sourced. They don't like to talk about their extremely fast indexing, apparently.
And I just was gonna mention something to you. If you do a group by a specific field, it will return distinct values of that field. So you don't actually need the keyword distinct.
Usually it will. Usually. I have run into many queries where it doesn't because the aggregate values on the other end.
Don't include the aggregates.
But if you need the aggregates for your specific query. You don't, because you can't group by in the
Yeah.
aggregate.
So when you compare them, whether groups get Splunk or
Hadoop is closer to MapReduce, where it's batch querying. This is interactive. You can essentially put in a query. As soon as you have a question, you get the answer to that query. Whereas MapReduce, you usually have to actually write out the process to have that happen. Which takes a
Splunk
little
can be
bit.
really interactive.
Right, of course. There are other database systems that Amazon has Redshift, which is fairly similar, except for Redshift is a little bit more has a little bit more of the sort of CRUD style to it that BigQuery does not. And I don't know too much about Splunk.
I don't think any of them are close in cost.
In cost, no, that's yeah. BigQuery is a lot cheaper than the alternatives.
Splunk is extremely expensive, can be extremely
Can be.
I think we did talk about enterprise all across the board.
It's only SaaS, is it on-prem premise solution as well, or is it only SaaS?
BigQuery? It's not really technically only SaaS. But I haven't actually run into a use case that wasn't SaaS so far. That could just be because of we're in the age of the web and that's just kind of how everything is going right now. All of the case studies that Google has for BigQuery are SaaS engines.
So I would say the entire data which is Google Cloud.
Not necessarily.
Are all of the operations you can do on the data textual or number based?
Usually they're going to be. You cannot easily get an aggregate data from floats or doubles. That's one of that's one of the bugs. That's one of the bugs that they're still working on. Apparently the way that they index how you're comparing floats and doubles to whatever each other apparently isn't functioning the way it always is supposed to. They don't talk about it too much, so they don't give you a lot of information on why that is. but for the most part, it's going to be Boolean, strings, integers, and floats or doubles. There are other data storage types, but they're pretty uncommonly used. Okay. Thanks.
Before everybody leaves, just wanted to point out, lead pages, we are one of the bigger app engine Google Cloud platform, Python and JavaScript companies in the area. So we're using kind of the whole stack from AngularJS to BigQuery and everything in between, pretty much everything in between. So we're always hiring, like most of the companies that you'll see sponsoring the event here, and always happy to help anybody if you've got questions about the whole cloud platform or about lead pages in particular, or about just the local tech community. Come find any one of us. Most of us are wearing lead pages shirts. We'd love to talk to you guys. So thanks.
Right, there's a refreshment on the opposite side of the room, so we'll have to grab some. And if you haven't done a survey, please do so. We'd like to take a video. Thank you.
So
I knew about that
actually,
We're trying to get all of them.
That's my mind.
You gotta model train something like that. Just let me know.
Spot or
yeah, we've got a nice big space.